This week on the show, Raquel D'Apice, Avital Ash, Arthur Meyer, and me, Dave Hill, a real asshole's asshole. It's the Novelizers.
Don't want your popcorn, don't want your milk duds, don't want my shoes stuck in pools of sticky cola. Don't show me romance, don't show me fist fights, just show me where it's printed out under the book lights. Yeah, baby, novelize the movie. Give me sentences, paragraphs, nothing to see. Novelize the movie. Write a book and turn it into a podcast.
Welcome to the Novelizers. We've got a great show. And you're not going to believe this. We have a special surprise guest in the studio this week. Any guesses who it is, Stephen Levinson?
My first guess would be Steve Agee.
Oh my God.
It's Steve Agee.
3 weeks in a row. How'd you guess?
But we have a second surprise guest. Guess who that is? Anyone? Beth, would you like to guess who it is?
Is it me?
It is you. Yeah, good guess.
I'm happy to be here.
It's
Beth Stelling.
Beth Stelling.
Oh, hey, Beth.
Good to see you guys. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Long while.
This is the show where two people are named Steve and two people are from Dayton, Ohio.
Sure.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. How about that math?
Wait, I know Dave Hill's not from Dayton. He's from Cleveland.
Sorry,
Yeah.
3 people are from Ohio, I meant to say.
3 Ohioans.
Oh,
and one
oh.
Steve Agee.
I've been to Dayton.
Yeah, you filmed something there.
We shot the hit movie Boy Band there.
We've all been to Dayton.
I wish I could have been a part of that.
Yeah, if we'd only
should
had
have been.
known you, that might have been what it took to make the movie a success. Beth, I don't know if you've heard the podcast. Well, you've been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
This is the podcast where we take classic films and have TV comedy writers turn them into prose narrated by celebrities like all of you. And we brought you on because you were the only person in the podcast to ever kiss Jennifer Grey, apparently.
Whoa.
Yes. Very soft lips.
Let's hear that story.
I am here to pop in to tell you a great tale of a time I was cast in the Amazon show Red Oaks as a stand-up comedian in the 80s. And I got to wear a blazer with shoulder pads. I got to do stand-up comedy, which is, of course, how Jennifer Grey's character on the show, spoiler alert, falls in love with me briefly. And we do share a couple smooches. She explores her lesbian side post Richard Kind. And we have a little 3-episode tale of us. And I got to smooch her, and she's got super soft lips, and she's a really nice person.
Oh, wow.
And she loves dancing. True story. It's not just for the foam.
Wow. If I'd known you knew her, I would have tried to get her to narrate a chapter of this podcast.
I'm sure she would have liked to. She
Oh,
loves performance. It's kind of her job, you know?
Steve, Beth, or Dave, who's on the show today?
I'm glad you asked, Stephen. Raquel D'Apice is written for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. She's also the author of the book Welcome to the Club, 100 parenting milestones you never saw coming. I don't know why I said parenting that way.
I didn't even see the
Parenting.
title coming.
No.
And in addition to Raquel, we've got Avital Ash, an actress, comedian, and writer, who's performed with the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater and appeared in Broad City and the Jim Gaffigan Show.
What? There was a Jim Gaffigan show?
Yeah. I was on it. I played
How
it.
was that?
a
Can we
Dave Hill
shift
type.
gears to talk about that before I leave?
It was great.
You're not allowed to leave. Once you're on this podcast, you stay on for the rest of the season.
You guys are gonna have to listen to a weird call in 10 minutes.
Uh-oh.
We also have Arthur Meyer, a comedian, writer, and actor who's written for The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon and performed with the UCB.
Well, this show must be really hard to produce. It must be expensive, Stephen.
Yeah, how do you afford it?
I'm going to ask the three of you to pitch in $100 each. No, but you, the listener, can support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com Search for the Novelizers. Give what you can. Keeps
Somebody
us
just, oh my gosh. Somebody just Venmo'd me $800.
right to me. right to me.
Thank
That's
you.
not how you do it. No, Patreon. Avital Ash. Novelize me.
Dirty Dancing, Chapter 13. Penny for your thoughts. Novelized by Raquel D'Apice, narrated by Avital Ash. Baby, in her long denim cutoffs and the white shirt that tied in the front, ran toward Penny's cabin. She knocked frantically on the door, which was opened within seconds. "Have you seen Johnny?" Baby asked, only to have Penny push the door open further. And there he was, his body framed beneath the mantle of Penny's graceful arm, his face creased with grief. Of course he had gone right to Penny. Baby would never understand Johnny the way Penny could, although, in fairness, Penny still couldn't grasp the concept of hair frizzing in humidity. "The hair just... it gets bigger," Baby had said, gesturing to her own hair. "Like longer?" Penny had asked. "No," Baby had said, frustrated. "Like puffier. Think of like a mushroom cloud from a bomb." "Does it make a noise?" Penny had asked, genuinely intrigued. She ran her fingers through her own silky hair, her hair that effortlessly dried straight minutes after she left the shower. "No," Baby explained, sighing. "It's just sort of messy, like tangled and hard to manage. It's really hard to understand if you didn't grow up with it." "That sounds so awful," Penny said, genuine sympathy in her voice. "I never realized it, but you had a rough childhood too." "Yeah," said Baby. "I guess I did." Baby gazed enviously at Penny. Beautiful Penny with legs like giraffe necks and a bottomless collection of belted French-cut leotards. Brave Penny who could endure a horrific betrayal and a 1960s abortion, while Baby could barely pull off a summer fling that wasn't a series of emotional breakdowns. Trustworthy Penny, who Johnny loved in a 100% non-sexual way, despite the fact that their dancing created a temperature at which galvanized metal could be welded. Johnny stepped out onto the porch and Baby, filled with a powerful mixture of guilt and lust, placed her arms around his shoulders. She tried to sensually rub his body, but failed, holding him with what felt like the quiet passion of a home care attendant watering a plant. Why was she so bad at this, Baby wondered. Penny could bring in thousands of OnlyFans subscribers blowing her nose on a CVS receipt, while Baby could be filled with passion alone with the man she loved, and she still somehow looked like an 11-year-old petting a horse. Baby kissed Johnny's back slowly, wishing she could be absorbed into him like water into a sponge, wishing they could run away together. Maybe he could punch through the window on the other side of his car, unlock the door, and the two of them could drive off into the sunset, or the sunrise, or just drive off at midday. Why was she so hung up on the position of the sun? Not that he would do any of that, she thought. Obviously, there was no need to punch through the other window when the first window was still broken, but still, there was nothing like the raw animal magnetism of a man who would destroy his car rather than suffer the indignity of calling a locksmith. And doing all of it in the pouring rain in a leather jacket, a material easily damaged by moisture. Was that her type? Men who looked hot while impulsively ruining things they didn't have the money to replace? It was then that they saw Robbie wandering through the cabins after an exhausting morning of smirking and dropping the term Yale Law School into conversations. His gaze flew from Johnny to Baby and then back again. "Looks like I picked the wrong sister," Robbie said, his grin cruel, his thick hair an Angora rabbit of conceit. "That's okay, Baby," he said. "I went slumming too." And the fuse had been lit. Johnny flew from the porch like a possum from a catapult, his hands slamming Robbie into the railing before pummeling him into the smooth, pebbly dirt of the Catskills. Yes, he was fighting Robbie, Johnny thought, but also he was fighting all the Robbies that had come before him. He was fighting Robbie's pompous father and his shitty grandfather and whatever obnoxiously crappy ancestor had come here decades ago on a boat. He was fighting some European asshole from the 1740s who had knocked up a girl in the next village and left town the following morning. An endless line of Robbies, from Paleolithic times till the present day, each one a smirking, slightly more erect-postured piece of shit. Johnny fought them with the passion of someone battling a wild dog, while Robbie, questioning his decision to wear a V-neck cable-knit sweater over an Oxford shirt in late August, struggled even to stay on his feet. Desperate, Robbie attempted his signature takedown, saying, "Wait till I tell my father about this," which had little, if any, effect. Johnny tossed him to the ground the way one might fling a gum wrapper. Johnny grabbed the rich, full tufts of Robbie's hair, punching the soft flesh of his stomach, and it was in that moment that Robbie felt himself switch from elitist disbelief to pure, unbridled rage. That he should be treated this way by someone without a college or even an associate's degree, by a man in a tank top wearing a bracelet. Johnny threw Robbie back to the ground, his fist paused in the air above Robbie's face, his muscles twitching. Robbie cowered. He prayed Johnny wouldn't punch him in the teeth, not because his parents wouldn't pay for the cosmetic dental work to fix it, of course they would, but because it would just be so humiliating in the meantime until they could get the appointment. "Get out of here, you're not worth it," Johnny spat. He said it as if Robbie were a bug or a pile of deer shit, treating Robbie the way Robbie's father treated middle-aged female receptionists, alive, sure, but not worth the time to fully acknowledge. "You're not worth it," Johnny muttered again. Robbie lay on the ground, furious and humiliated, terrified that Johnny would say, "You're not worth it," a third time, and knowing that things have a Beetlejuice-style magic to them when they are said in threes, he scrambled to escape. His Ralph Lauren sweater was ruined, Robbie thought, brushing the blood from his teeth and the black dirt from his cuffs. Luckily, he had another cream-colored Ralph Lauren sweater, and also a Brooks Brothers one that was really similar, except the V-neck stripe was navy instead of maroon. And another Brooks Brothers one that was a crew neck. But the thing that had really been damaged was his pride. Johnny hung his head, furious at Robbie, but ashamed of his own outburst. 2 hours each day of social emotional learning, and still his first reaction to an insult was to fly off a porch like a testosterone-fueled jumping spider. How was he not getting better at this? Baby, meanwhile, saw an opening. Johnny had abandoned himself to his rage, and now was her chance to do something equally wild and unpredictable and impulsive. "Now is your chance," she screamed to herself. "Do it! Be young! Be wild! Do something impulsive and sexy that you'll play back over and over again in your head for the next 20 years of your life. Do whatever Penny would do!" But Baby's body was not listening. Johnny walked toward Baby on the porch, and she gazed down at him, cradling his head like a doting mother whose overly dependent 9-year-old son was pushed to tears by how much homework his teacher gives him. There, Baby seemed to say. "It's all right. I can always talk to the principal." A few hours later, Baby had changed into another pair of denim cutoffs and a guava-colored tank top that also exposed her midriff. She looked back to the list of things she had hoped to make manifest this summer, amazed that out of fling with emotionally vulnerable salsa instructor and learning to dance, she was batting a cool 1,000. Go Baby! Lisa, her sister, knocked about on the stage, practicing her number for the evening's talent show, but Baby could barely process her sister's off-key yodeling because everything in her world sat in the glow cast by Johnny. Johnny, who was now sitting quietly in a loose-fitting collared shirt, writing out a list on his clipboard. If there was one thing Baby found irresistible, it was wild, unpredictable men who were also good at list-making. She thought back to her favorite sex dream, the one where she made love to a rugged, ruthless hospital administrator, but was brought back to reality when she remembered the palm tree she was supposed to paint. She was doing an amazing job, not at helping Penny or building up Johnny in the eyes of her father or even learning to dance, but ask her to paint a realistic-looking palm tree on a resort talent show budget, and Baby was the Vermeer of plywood plant silhouettes. Dipping her brush in a whisper of white paint, she caressed the palm tree with feather-light strokes. The trunk of the tree rose gracefully like the neck of a brontosaurus lit by the morning sun. Why, she wondered. Why was she spending so much time on a Bob Ross-level palm tree to compliment her sister's talent show performance, some song about a woman named Hula Hana, written by a Polynesian-themed word generator? "Who's this Hula Hana of Kamanawana Hula Bay? She will hula when you have a lovely gift she wants, you'll hear her say." If only she had a life as simple as Hula Hana, Baby thought. Hula Hana, who hadn't assumed she could solve everybody's fucking problems while simultaneously making her dance instructor fall in love with her. Simple, straightforward Hula Hana, whose entire personality was that she would hula when you had a lovely gift she wants. "Bring me a pineapple that doesn't sting, a bird that swims, a fish that sings. I really wanna. Bring me a volcano that blows up all the molten jama and a blue banana. I can. Did pineapples sting people? Baby wondered. There was so much in the world she didn't know. She had never even cut up a pineapple, though she had carried a watermelon that one time, something she quoted back to herself so often she debated putting it on her resume under special skills. And it was then that Baby saw Mrs. Pressman saunter toward Johnny. A cat toward a chipmunk with a twisted leg. Mrs. Pressman pushed an unlit cigarette into Johnny's face with an air of entitlement. The way 5-year-olds wordlessly hold out plastic Camelback water bottles that they expect their mothers to hold or fill for them. Here, her action screamed, do this easily doable thing that I am not even bothering to attempt. Johnny lit the cigarette within seconds, striking the lighter with fluid ease. He was, Baby realized, someone who regularly had cigarettes seductively thrust into his face. This is our last night together, lover, Mrs. Pressman said, blowing a calm bullet of smoke through the auditorium. I've got something worked out for us. And with that, she walked off, her hips swaying like a middle-aged metronome, in a house where no one, particularly not her husband, seemed at all interested in learning an instrument. Johnny glanced over to see if Baby had witnessed the exchange. Anxious, taking a deep breath, Baby tried to appear preoccupied with the task of painting the palm tree, which was not hard since she truly had been for hours preoccupied with painting it. She had been instructed green on top, brown on the bottom, and had produced something that would easily fetch $24K at a Sotheby's auction. Why did she always hyper-focus and over-stress about everything? Why couldn't she just let herself do a half-assed job? If she ever made a movie of her life, Baby thought, she'd sit back in a reclining chair and let someone else paint the stupid trees. Baby was roused from her thoughts by Johnny, who had walked over to the card table where Mrs. Pressman sat in a tan sports coat. Excuse me, sir, the pirate number's next, he said, handing Mr. Pressman a large black pirate hat. Mr. Pressman immediately looked up at Johnny, smiling, giving Johnny his full attention in a way he had rarely, if ever, given it to his wife. Hey, kid, Mr. Pressman said, you know I play cards all weekend and I've got an all-night game tonight. Johnny did know that. Mr. Pressman was strictly business and always played cards all weekend, except for the pirate number up next, for which he had inexplicably agreed to sign on. Johnny had thought that was weird, but also bizarrely nice to see him express himself artistically. Why don't you give my wife some extra dance lessons? Mr. Pressman went on. He pulled out several large bills, which he placed in Johnny's pocket with a loud crackling sound like an egg hatching. Johnny was annoyed at having money shoved into his hands while being simultaneously delighted at having money shoved into his hands. He looked down at the bills Mr. Pressman had handed him. They were big bills, the kind with more than 1 0 after the one, Johnny noted. Bills that could pay for the leather jacket he had ruined and the car window he had smashed during the rainstorm. Bills that could give him some stability. But also maybe he could take that 4-week pottery class and buy Norton antivirus for his computer and maybe even splurge for the fancy cheeses at Whole Foods. With money like this, Johnny realized, he could have Hulu and Netflix this month without even having to log on using his cousin's password. And yet, suddenly Johnny watched his own hand extend back toward Mr. Pressman as if out of his control. I'm sorry, Mr. Pressman, Johnny heard himself say. I'm booked up the whole weekend, so I don't have time for anything else. I don't think it'd be fair to take the money. What? What am I doing? Johnny thought. Breaking car windows, being vulnerable, having sex with an underage guest, turning away money? Can I not make one decent decision, he thought. It was like he hadn't even listened to cassette 1, side 2 of his Wayne Dyer tapes. Start making good choices. Mr. Pressman nodded, calmly taking back the money. He would find someone else to screw his wife. Meanwhile, from the stage, Baby sat back, paintbrush in hand, and gazed adoringly at Johnny. She may have spent hours on this elaborate palm tree, she thought, but of all the things in this auditorium, Johnny Castle was the true masterpiece. Her thoughts were broken by Lisa's words, her sister still knock-kneed, dancing like a marionette lobster across the stage. And you can walk all you wanna, you can walk while I walk away. And you can walk all you wanna, you can walk while I walk away. Away, away, away. Lisa fell to the ground in a deep bow that objectively made no sense compared to the rest of the choreography. Her body lay prone on the stage before getting up and cheerfully walking towards her sister. She crouched down, clasping her hands together. I've decided tonight's the night with Robbie, Lisa said. He doesn't even know yet. Her voice had a light, musical quality that, ironically, had been completely absent throughout her musical number. But all Baby could process were her words. Tonight's the night with Robbie. Baby frantically tried to prepare a response. Something like, maybe I should have mentioned this before, but Robbie had sex with Penny, the dance instructor, and left her to have a botched abortion. Or, The guy I'm sleeping with actually just beat the shit out of Robbie. Or I heard that in place of a penis, Robbie just has a bushel of scallions held together by a rubber band. Or what if instead of sleeping with Robbie, you and I have a Scrabble tournament? But as inexplicably as Lisa had transitioned from her awkward chicken-style dance into a deep meditative bow into the casual statement that she was going to sex Robbie, she walked away without waiting for Baby to respond. "Hey, Lisa!" Baby called, worried for her sister, but apparently not worried enough to actually get up and follow her. Baby felt slightly guilty. She hadn't managed to warn Lisa about the predatory Yale-fixated cater-waiter her sister seemed intent on fucking. But then again, if Lisa went through with this, maybe Baby would finally be her father's favorite again.
Thank you, Avital. We'll be right back after this.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-tool power tool combo kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
We're back. Each week on the show, we interview someone who worked on the film Dirty Dancing. Let's hear that interview, guys.
Okay.
Beth, anybody?
Yeah, I'm in.
Hey guys, welcome to the interview portion of the Novelizers. I'm Kevin Carter, and I'm here with Stacey Swayze, who was the dance coach for Dirty Dancing. Stacey, how's it going today?
Oh, I gotta say it's going pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Everything's good and, as healthy as possible today.
That's good. First of all, you're a legend. You're clearly a legend in what you do.
Well, thank you.
How was it on set, like doing something that iconic, and being part of something that great?
It was just amazing. So I suppose I should kind of get this out of the way first. I am the older brother of Pat. Oh, most people know him as Patrick. And he did not initially want me to join due to my poor track record as a dancer. But I had heard that Jennifer Grey was involved, that the guy from maybe Law and Order, one of those shows, was going to be involved. It just sounded like really a quite interesting film. And so I said, well, hey, I'm your brother. I think you owe me, because I did years ago give you a kidney. It was just magical being on set and going over the dance moves with Pat.
Did he finally come around and be like, you know what, maybe Stacey does know what the hell he's doing because these are great moves? Or was he always in doubt?
He did eventually conquer his doubt, which came, I think, around the time, either slightly before or slightly after I physically threatened him. But I eventually did sort of make him, for lack of a better word, I suppose, force to learn my dance moves. He certainly indulged me for a little bit there.
Yeah. You don't seem like a person that would like rub it in somebody's face. Like, I told you it would be fucking great. But did you say anything? Because it sounded like, like he wasn't on board at first. And then, like you said, you had to force him and show him who's boss and stuff. But then it actually worked. Did you like rub it in his face that you knew what you was talking about?
I did. I told him, I sat him down. I said, look, Pat, the movie is called Dirty Dancing, and there is no one dirtier in this world than me. I could not even begin to go into the litany of reasons and examples that would prove that I'm a dirty person. But to just name a couple, usually if there is a naked man running onto a field at a baseball game, they will get arrested. If there's a naked man running onto the field at a baseball game and they're peeing and pooping while they're running, they'll get jail time. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened to me. Luckily, because that was sort of an unprecedented situation, the judge didn't really know how to rule, so I was given under 2 years. So not that bad. So the peeing and pooping while running, were you actually pooping while running? I was actually pooping while running.
That's a talent in itself, by the way. That's a talent.
Well, that's, I talked to the director of the Dirty Dancing film, and I said that, the one thing that's missing from this movie is, and then I took out my well, we didn't have iPads back then, so I took out my TV. I always carry a TV with me. You know how a substitute teacher used to sort of
exactly
wheel a TV in,
yeah, on the little cart. On the little cart. Yeah.
Exactly. So I brought my TV on a cart to the director of Dirty Dancing, and I showed him video footage of me. Well, rapping is what we call it, which is a combination of running and crapping.
Okay.
And I said,
like that.
Thank you, Kevin. Mm-hmm. And I said, this is what this movie is missing. And the next day, I found out that I was warned. I did not know that you could be warned by a major movie studio.
So what did they do when they warned you? Like, what did they say? Did they say something to you?
Yeah, they said, please stop. We don't want, they said, I suppose they were explicit in saying, we don't want you here. The only reason you're here is because Pat is in the movie. And but by God, we're threatening to dismiss him from the film simply due to your poor demeanor, behavior, your poor appearance, your lack of any sort of skills or social abilities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. So before the job, before you got the job, what were you doing? Like, as far as what was Stacy's life like before the job of dance coordinator or dance instructor?
So I started my own business. I'm sure you've heard there are bodyguards for celebrities.
Yeah.
I started a business. I want people to be able to get to the celebrities that they're trying to get to. So I started a business of essentially, it's called a bodyguard. So it's someone who's hired to beat up a bodyguard in order that you can get to the celebrity that you want to talk to. So,
gotcha.
That was something that I did for a few months. Again, landed me in jail, but I knew some of those guys from jail. Mm-hmm. And so it was, in certain ways it was nice to see them again. In other ways, it was very much not.
Yeah. Was there anybody that you successfully was able to get your client to the celebrity?
Ironically, Kevin Costner.
Really? Okay.
I say ironically because, of course, he starred in the Bodyguard.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he was someone who had a surprisingly weak or inattentive bodyguard. Mm-hmm. So in a moment of vulnerability, I stormed past Ronaldo is his name, and I just got right to the source, to Kevin himself, Mr. Waterworld.
Got you. So it seems like you're a man of many talents and many ideas to make money and to be successful, right? What would be the percentage that you would give yourself on all these ideas working? Is it like 90% of your ideas work, or is it 20? Is it 2? I'm sorry for going lower with the numbers. I'm just trying to get a good range on what we're looking at here.
None taken, Kevin. None taken. I would say it's probably about. I mean, in terms, if you're to define working as a catalyst eliciting a reaction of some kind, then I would say well over 90%. If you're defining working as successful in achieving the aim of my goal, yes, that would probably be down below 5%, or if it's possible, I'm not sure if it is to go below 0%, then it would be there.
Okay, got you. So when it comes to like being on set and being the dance coordinator, I'm assuming there were moments where you had to talk to or help dance not just Patrick Swayze, but everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So how was that, dancing with the ladies and everything like that?
There's really no better way to put it. They were frightened of me. But,
why were they frightened?
I just think that, to show up wearing a shirt and no pants, I did have underwear on, but, incidentally, it was tucked warmly into my crack.
Okay.
But, I was able to talk to Jen Gray, and, I call her that because, I know her, and so if you know someone, you could call them by a shorter version of what their name is. And,
makes sense.
I said, look, Jen, listen, I loved you in the Ferris Butler movie. I just thought
Ferris Bueller or Butler?
I believe it was Butler, but I would maybe have to check my notes.
Yeah, no problem. Mm-hmm.
And, I said, you stole the show. That Broderick kid was crap, not believable at all, and certainly well into his 20s. And I never, enjoy when the age doesn't line up. It was why I could never watch Beverly Hills 90210. And I said, Jen, I just thought you were phenomenal. And if you could just let me, stay here for a couple more minutes before the studio bodyguards take me away in a golf cart, I would be greatly appreciative. And she did indeed allow that.
So I want to just ask a question here.
Yeah.
Because you seem like a nice guy, like a genuinely nice guy.
Likewise.
A lot of the things you're describing as your time on set, things you've done in the past, other jobs, things like that. In 2024, they come off as creepy. Now, I'm not saying in 1987 that it wasn't creepy. I mean, or saying it was creepy in 1987. They could have been perfectly fine in 1987. But in 2024, it sounds creepy.
Right. Well, things don't always age well with time. Myself certainly included. But to that, I just say, look over there, and I get your attention. You look at something else, and I quickly change the subject to cake, which is one of my favorite foods.
All right. Yeah.
So if you'd like to talk about cake, I think I just successfully did what Jade Vance calls a pivot.
Yes, that was classic pivoting. You're very good at it. I appreciate that.
One of my few talents. Thank you.
How was you and Mr. Swayze as kids? So we talk about like the business, and we talk about, your career and everything like that, but we're talking to Patrick Swayze's older brother. Like, how were you two as kids growing up and stuff?
Right. So, he was the brother who was getting the A's in the classes. I was the crazy one who was getting the D's and the F's. He was the brother who was the starting quarterback of the football team. I was the brother who had to sit in his mother's car in the parking lot until the game was over for reasons that I really can't go into. That was sort of our kind of playful dynamic. It was kind of that thing of, me teasing him and him saying, seriously, I don't want you around. That sort of playful dynamic. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it all out. I'm trying to piece it all together. I'm trying to piece it all together.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, big guy.
Not a problem.
All right, great.
So I guess like, when you got the job to do Dirty Dancing, did you ever think like, I want to make my brother proud, or was it always, I want to prove him wrong or something? Like, was it ever a situation where you was looking for his approval, or like how was that? Because my thing is like, based on what you're saying now, I'm only going off what you're saying. I'm only interpreting what you've told me. It seems like he don't like you. It seems like he wasn't a fan of you, like ever, So I'm just trying to see how that was once you got the job and stuff.
Yeah, I like to really describe it as more of a playful dynamic, kind of a sort of a Michael Ian Black, Mark Maron circa 2013 Twitter feud kind of thing where, you're saying biting, cutting remarks to each other, but maybe there's a hint of sincerity in there.
Okay.
I did like to make Patty proud.
Okay.
I would sometimes try to, I would show up at the set with, 12 cupcakes. And, I suppose the drawback there was that they were usually eaten by me by the time I got there. But, it takes a long time to get from the studio bakery down to the set where they were shooting. So you really can't blame me for that. But
you said the studio bakery?
The studio had a bakery, which is something that Pat actually made them do. That was one of the things on his rider, and I believe the reason he did that was because due to pressure, familial pressure, specifically from his older brother, who I suppose in this case would be myself. So they did build a bakery because they really wanted Pat, in the movie, and why wouldn't you want him? I mean, the guy has incredible moves. He is just beyond sexy. And I believe he stole the show from Jennifer Grey, who really was quite an inferior dancer, particularly in the first half of the movie. I mean, she got great. As the movie went on, she got great.
Yeah.
she really did much better with the dancing. And some people would argue that was the character, that's part of the story. But I'm not so sure. So
So basically what you're saying is, even though there was progression with her character in the movie with her dancing, you were saying there was also progression with her actually dancing, period.
That's the way I saw it, but
Gotcha.
I was sitting very far away. But they gave me two of those director chairs. I broke the first one, but the second one, I stood next to, and because I didn't want it to break again. How many broken tailbones can you handle in a month-long span?
Exactly.
So I was far away, but from what I could see. Even with my very thick glasses on, it did seem like Jennifer's dancing skills did improve over the course of the filming of the movie.
Yeah, that's good. So it seems like Patrick Swayze he's up here, like he's up there, right? And I can say with a pretty good amount of confidence that nobody knew you existed till this interview. So how are you navigating through life knowing the difference in you and your brother?
Yeah. Well, first of all, rude.
My apologies.
It's nothing I haven't gotten before from everyone that I've met in this life. But it's been a little bit easier to navigate things now that, as you said, Pat is up here. He's he's up in heaven. I didn't mean.
I'm
sorry. I didn't know what
I meant status of
status wise, sure.
Celebrity. Yeah. Not
of
heaven.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. No, that has been a struggle. I would never want to imply that my life has been easier now that Pat is gone. Status wise, it's certainly been a bit of an issue. But if those losses, so to speak, kind of stack up over the course of your life, it doesn't. Each one stings a little bit less, diminishing return.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you okay with, what I'm saying? Like, how did you handle that with, what I'm saying, with him and stuff? And when, when he,
Well, I begged him. I said, Pat, I would love you to stick around. I hear that they want to do this Dirty Dancing Hanukkah night, whatever it was called. And, he said to me on his deathbed, this is absolutely not the way that I want to go out. He said, I'm about to die right now, and this is not how I want it to happen.
Well, at least you were there to give him some comfort. So what is final words?
I noticed you're giggling a bit.
I'm sorry. It's more like I cry. I laugh when I cry. So it's serious. When it's a serious moment, it's like a Joker thing I have with me. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a problem.
I understand.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I couldn't tell if someone was tickling your undercarriage.
Not at all. Not at all. I sympathize with you and your family for that and stuff.
Thank you, Kev. Thank you.
Speaking of that, I haven't told anybody this, but I write screenplays. And yeah, I'm trying to get in the biz, what I'm saying, the biz, and I'm trying to just figure this whole thing out and get a shot, right? And one thing I'm working on, the name of the movie is called My Brother's Keeper.
Yeah,
it's called My Brother's Keeper, and
love it.
Yeah, and it's about a it's like a trading places situation where you have the very successful brother, and then you have the very very not so successful brother, and then at some point they meet, what I'm saying, meet head to head or whatever, and then they trade places. But now the one that's not successful has to take care of the one that is super successful, and it's a heartfelt rom-com action, So that's what I was working on, and I thought you would be great, for help on that film.
Well, I just absolutely love that idea. I mean, that is like that is my sticky wet dream right there that you just described. I would love to take any part in that film, whether it's consultation, dance coaching, cupcake bringer to set, acting in it. I mean, it's really hits a very personal spot for me. So
yeah, I was thinking we could do a whole Parent Trap thing, and it's just you You know what I'm saying? And playing both parts. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a twin type thing.
Yes, and well, much like child twin actors, I am really not allowed on set for more than a couple hours per day. That sounds wonderful, and it certainly beats out my idea for a movie called Dict Baby, which is about a combination of a dictator and a baby.
I'm so glad you explained it. I am so glad you explained.
Not everyone understands. I initially was thinking of calling it Dictator Baby. I thought that's not quite clever enough.
Yeah.
Let's combine the two words in a way that sounds fluid. So that's where we got Dict Baby.
Perfect. Stacey, I want to thank you for joining us on this interview today. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, thank you, Kevin. And I just got to say, as someone who has witnessed many interviewers from far away, you are certainly one of the finest.
I appreciate it very, very much. This is Kevin Carter with Stacey Swayze, and this is the Novelizers.
That's it. Special thanks to this week's guests, Raquel D'Apice, Avital Ash, Arthur Meyer, Steve Agee, Beth Stelling, and I'll thank Dave Hill and myself, Stephen Levinson, too.
I'd like to thank Stephen,
thanks.
For sure.
Thanks.
Yeah,
no one
just
ever
so you don't
thanks
have,
me.
so you don't have to thank yourself. Does anybody have any last minute questions about Jennifer Grey's lips?
Were they soft?
So soft. And she's kind.
Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
They do all the dancing in that, obviously, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of the cast bonding things we did was go salsa dancing.
Oh my God.
You salsa danced with Jennifer Grey?
Yeah, and
Oh, my
who else
God.
was there? Oh dang! I wish I could think. Oliver
Whoa.
Cooper. I think I danced with him a little bit during the salsa. And Ennis Esmer's on that show. It was a funny comment that we all know.
My life is so boring. I'm just sitting in a closet in Dayton, Ohio, and you're dancing with Jennifer Grey.
Well, don't turn around because I'm about to kick down that closet door and ask, "Can I have this dance? This
Absolutely.
dirty dance." I'm asking you to grind. I want to freak dance with you. Are you married?
Whoa.
I am married.
I have a boyfriend. I forgot.
Oops. When are you back in Dayton, Beth?
I'm coming home to speak to the class of Oakwood High School, the junior
Oh, wow.
experience. I'll be back in a couple weeks.
Let me know.
Yep.
Cool. Well, did we say the next week?
No.
Okay. Join us next. Oh, you go for it.
Join us next week.
When we'll
Thanks,
have Jane
Beth, for
Brucker.
starting.
Okay, Steve, you do it.
Join us next week when we'll have Jane Brucker, who played Lisa in the original Dirty Dancing film, as our narrator. Plus, Bethany Hall will be joining us for the interview.
2 bets in a row.
Whoa,
I normally don't allow it.
that's crazy.
It just worked out that way. The Novelizers is hosted by Dave Hill with Stephen Levinson and produced by Stephen, Cole Emhoff, Graham Douglas, Kevin Carter, Christine Bullen, Dennis DeClaudio, and Rob Kuttner, and distributed by Cincinnati Public Radio. Mixed and edited by Graham Douglas, music by Cole Emhoff, art direction by Crystal Dennis, theme song written by Andrew Lynn and performed by Nick Testa. Follow the Novelizers on Threads, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and support us on Patreon. The Novelizers is an unauthorized work of parody. Copyright 2025, Novelizers, LLC. Take us out, Dave Hill.
There was a baby put in the corner. There was a guy who could give your mama boner. He taught her dancing, it took a minute, and she flew into his arms just like an egret. Novelize that movie, write a book, and also read it to me.